As Scarymania begins to wind down and the beloved Halloween night approaches faster and faster, it's time to dive into the decade of the 2000s, and this is a decade that was mostly defined by sequels and remakes. Lots and lots of remakes. Not to mention the direct-to-DVD craze that plagued horror just throughout the decade, and even still exists in somewhat form to this day. However, there were some gems that were produced during the time, like flowers growing in between concrete. And I believe one of those gems to be The Devil's Rejects from director Rob Zombie. Now, there are going to be some of you who are like, Ryan, are you actually recommending a Rob Zombie movie? Hear me out. I'm more than aware that Rob Zombie's movies are not exactly everyone's cup of tea. He's a very acquired taste as a filmmaker. And I have not seen all of his movies, however, I have seen The Devil's Rejects, and it's a very shocking movie. However, there was 1,000 times more effort put into the story and the message than some horror movies I've even seen in 2021. This is a sequel to House of a Thousand Corpses, and I actually have not seen House of a Thousand Corpses, so I'm not 100% sure if you have to have seen House of a Thousand Corpses in order to fully get Devil's Rejects. However, I was able to get it just fine. It's a part of a loose trilogy involving House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, and Three from Hell, which would turn out to be Sid Haig's final performance. May he rest in peace. But The Devil's Rejects tells the story of the Firefly family. Sid Haig playing Captain Spaulding, Sharon Moon Zombie, the real wife of Rob Zombie, playing Baby, and Bill Moseley playing Otis. They are not exactly role models. Actually, they're quite scummy people that you do not want to aspire to be, and thanks to the events of House of a Thousand Corpses, they are on the run from the law. More specifically, a crazed sheriff named Wydell, played by William Forsythe. A lot of crazy and screwed up stuff happens, and it all culminates in one big scene in a farmhouse where a lot of bad things happen in one concentrated chunk of time. I think the best way I can describe this movie is if you took the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with its ambiance and cross it over with the crime aspect of Bonnie and Clyde, you've got The Devil's Rejects. And like I said, the Firefly family are people that you would never A, hope to meet, and B, aspire to be in any positive fashion. These are horrible people. However, their charisma kinda leans you in the direction towards liking them, weirdly. The best performance of the movie is Bill Moseley as Otis. In my research, I found that his performance was so well received, there was a fan campaign for him to be nominated for an Oscar. To think a horror movie would win for an Oscar. Like, they couldn't even get Toni Collette for Hereditary. Like, nice try, fellas, but I mean, come on. But nevertheless, Moseley was really good here. Counteracting that is the sheriff, Wydell, played by William Forsythe. He is really good in here as well, and in some scenes, he is just as terrifying as the Firefly family. There's a lot of hidden themes, if there is a theme to be found from a movie called The Devil's Rejects, that basically paints a picture of the law is very ambivalent. The good guys and bad guys cross streams and wear gray hats instead of black hats and white hats. And like I said, this movie is very grotesque at times. Let's just say that Zombies films can be best described as exploitation movies, so be careful if you actually watch this. Like, just be prepared. But if you can stomach it, I do recommend it. I also have to give a tip of the cap to the soundtrack, because adding Leonard Skinner to any soundtrack is just a chef's kiss right there. And weirdly, this is I guess a mild spoiler, but one of the songs on the soundtrack is Freebird by Leonard Skinner. It's one of my favorite songs of all time, and specifically the lyric, and this bird you cannot change ties into the theme of the movie as a whole. You'll know it when you see it. But yes, I am actually recommending a Rob Zombie movie, so check it out if you've got the stomach for it.